Are you always running out of item bag storage whether you have 500 or 5,000 spaces? Well, let's run through how to properly manage your item bag in Pokemon Go and never deal with that issue. First things first, there's a Frigibax on my nearby. But no, first things first is the #1 way to manage your item bag is to just buy more storage. Okay, I'm kidding. That's not a permanent solution, but what you can do is you can always buy more item bag space for 200 coins a pop. Obviously, very expensive. That's going to be at least 4 days of gymming, but that can be a great method. Nonetheless, let's get right into it and break it down, starting with, of course, the potions. What potions should you keep? Now, I always recommend deleting all of your purple potions here because those things, they just don't really heal. Like, even this orange one, I have to use like 3 of them on this Palkia to heal it back up. So I'll delete the orange potions as well as the purple potions. I'm going to go ahead and keep all of these pink potions as well as the blue potions, the hypers and the maxes. If you have a bajillion max potions like me and you just spin a lot of gyms and never raid, then you can also potentially delete the hyper potions. But at the end of the day, I like to keep at the very minimum 100 potions. I have 300 right now because again, I have a max item bag storage, so 6,800, not really gonna run out of space. But for you, don't be scared to go all the way down to like even 50 potions if you need. It really depends on how much raiding you do and how much potions you end up doing. But remember, when you do end up raiding a lot, you do get potions from the rewards. So it's actually not too bad and too big of an issue if you only have 50 potions, because even if you raid and a lot of Pokemon die, you're gonna get a bunch of potions back. Same thing goes with the revives. Max revives are preferred, but again, keep the revives if you're low on max revives. Again, 100 across the two is completely fine for any people with less space. Even 50 across the two works fine, because again, when you're raiding, you're getting potions in return, so it's not a big deal. Next up, let's talk about Pokeballs. Pokeballs, never delete. This is the #1 thing in Pokemon Go. For any trainer, do not delete your Pokeballs. Now, obviously, Master Ball, you're gonna keep that. You can't even actually delete your Master Ball. But in terms of the 3 Pokeballs, how I end up using them, my red Pokeballs are gonna be mainly used on my auto-catching device. My main throwing Pokeball is always gonna be the blue Great Ball, and then the Ultra Ball, I'm usually gonna go ahead and not use those and save those up for events where there's a Pokemon with a high catch rate, or a big event like a Go Fest or a tour event where I just wanna make sure I'm catching as efficiently as possible. Now, obviously, the new Pokemon Go Plus can actually throw Great Balls and Ultra Balls, but not fully automatically. So again, I still generally just never really throw Pokeballs. I generally throw Great Balls, and then I save the Ultra Balls for the big events. But again, don't delete Pokeballs, and this is gonna be a common theme in this video. Never really delete stuff if you can. If you can use them, it's better. Like if I need more space in my item bag, I would actually just go out and throw a bunch of Great Balls, catch a bunch of Pokemon instead of just, you know, deleting them. And that's especially true with the berries here, the next item here. Now we have the raspberries, nanaps, pineapples, golden raspberries, and silver pineapples. Rule #1, generally never delete golden raspberries or silver pineapples unless you're a madman raider and you have 1 billion of them. If that's you, you probably have 1,000 golden raspberries and you probably end up deleting them or feeding them to something. What I do delete generally is going to be the raspberries. I'm not the biggest raspberry person, but I will say keep raspberries if you don't have a lot of golden raspberries. They can be very useful for catching Pokemon that are harder to catch in the wild. Nanab berries have found their use. I find a lot of people say they like to use Nanab berries on shadow Pokemon or shadow legendary Pokemon that are a bit harder to hit, but generally I don't really need Nanab berries. I'm gonna go ahead and delete all of those. But if you're someone who likes Nanab berries and how they make the Pokemon less aggressive, save a couple of those. The berries I will keep though are always gonna be pineapple berries because those can double your candy, allowing you to get more candy for certain Pokemon in Pokemon Go. This is great for any time a rare spawn appears or there's a great community day, like, you know, if we get Gumicom Day this summer, pineapples are gonna be the go-to. Also, silver pineapples are pretty much just like a golden raspberry and a pineapple berry together, so those are even better. If you can, save those, especially for legendaries. I like to use them on when I want more candies for a legendary. I'll generally use silver pineapples for like the first 10 Pokeballs I throw at a legendary, and then I'll switch to golden raspberries, which have a little bit higher of a catch rate. But these are the 3 berries I'll end up keeping. Again, if you're somebody who likes to keep Nanab berries, go ahead and save those. In terms of amounts you need to keep, generally I would not delete any silver pineapples or golden raspberries, but I don't like to keep too many pineapple berries. Since I have a lot of storage, will generally never go under 500 pineapple berries. So here, for example, I can go ahead and delete about 160, but I think this is all gonna depend on your storage and how much space you have. I think saving about maybe like 5% of your storage towards pineapple berries or berries across the board can be completely fine. Like 100 pineapple berries is fine. Even 50 is fine. Again, it's all gonna depend on how much space you have. The thing I'll say about berries though is, like you just saw me there delete those pineapple berries. Don't do that. The best way to get berries is to actually throw them into gyms. You're gonna get Stardust and potentially candy for different Pokemon. So always, instead of deleting berries, go ahead and drop them into gyms if you can. It's gonna take like an extra 5 minutes, but you'll get a lot more out of it than just going ahead and straight up deleting them. I love how I just did exactly what you shouldn't do on this video. Moving on, we have gifts, which actually don't take any space in your storage, so you don't have to worry about that, as well as your stickers and your postcard book. Again, they do not take any space in your storage, so we're just gonna skip those. Next up, we got trainer boosts here, which are considered premium items. Now, incenses, star pieces, lucky eggs are the 3 main premium items in Pokemon Go. Never delete them. If you need to get rid of them, for example, 132 lucky eggs, I'm gonna use them, not delete them. Again, these things are gonna be used during big events events like Go Fests, or even just smaller events where there's double XP or something, you want to get some more XP out of a lucky egg, that's when you're going to use that. Daily Venture Incense, of course, doesn't take any space, it refreshes every single day. Coin Bag here allows me to spawn Gimme Ghouls in Pokemon Go, but you do need a Nintendo Switch to get this item, as well as the Mystery Box allows you to spawn Meltons in Pokemon Go, which you need to send a Pokemon to Pokemon Home to do that. If you want to learn how to get the Coin Bag and the Mystery Box, I will link below a video explaining how to get those items in Pokemon Go. Moving on though, we have other items here. Now, incubators, I do not believe take any space in Pokemon Go, and you can't really delete them, so we're just going to kind of ignore those. Mystery Components and Super Rocket Radars, again, these are super rare items. Mystery Components, if you get 6, will turn into a gray rocket radar, which allows you to battle a team leader. Don't delete those, just battle a team leader to use them. They're probably not going to be taking a lot of your space. Same thing goes with Mystery Components. Purified Gems are great to go ahead and take down Shadow Legendaries. I will say, if you don't battle in Shadow Legendaries or you live in a rural area, you can actually just delete your Purified Gems because you're never really going to be using them, but they can be a great item to have, especially for someone like me who lives in a city who wants to use Purified Gems when I'm taking on Shadow Mewtwo's or Shadow Entei's or whatever's in Shadow Raids. And this brings us to the main guy, Rare Candy and Rare XL Candy. Now, obviously you see here, I have an absurd amount of Rare Candy, and that's mainly just because, like, again, I have 6,800 space. My item bag really never gets maxed out because it is maxed, but I'm gonna have to start using it at one point because we are coming close. And that's the question that everybody asks me, what do I use Rare Candy on? Now, my number one thing to use Rare Candy on is always going to be the one-time mythical Pokemon you get in Pokemon Go, because those are the hardest Pokemon to get candy for. So that includes Pokemon like Celebi, or like Mew, or like, you know, Jirachi, or like, you know, Zarude, or like Zygarde. All these Pokemon that you can only get one of in Pokemon Go are the hardest Pokemon to get candy for. So dumping your rare candies into those Pokemon can be probably the best method. However, sometimes those Pokemon are not the most useful. Like Mew is not the most useful. So it can also be great to dump it into legendaries. Things like Mewtwo, things like Groudon, Rayquaza, all these top legendaries. If you want to learn the best legendaries in Pokemon to power up in Pokemon Go, I'll link below a video, are another great option to drop into. The third option I will always say is going to be rare Pokemon. Things like Larvesta, which are harder to get candies for because they're super rare. Something like a Salandit, which doesn't, you know, hatch very often, can be great to dump candies into as well. So different Pokemon like that. I think it all depends on what is your goal and what Pokemon you're powering up. But what I will say is never dump your candy into Pokemon that are pretty common or easy to get, or they'll come back with some event. Like even something like a Gible, I would not put rare candies into, because again, Gible will spawn at some sort of event. It might have a community in the future where you can stock up candies. Your rare candies are much better put into Pokemon which are hard to get candies for. Legendaries, again, it's not that easy to get candies for legendaries. One-time mythicals, you know, like Zarude, you can't get, the only way to get Zarude candies are pretty much through rare candy or walking as your buddy. Same goes with rare XL candies, but this is where you want to be really, really careful because these are really hard to get. I'm saving all mine up to go into Zygarde because again, Zygarde XL candies, impossible to get except through rare XL candies. But again, look at that video, best Pokemon to power up in Pokemon Go, and decide something in there to dump into. One thing I will say though is do not dump your rare XL candies into Pokemon Go until you can put all of them into a certain Pokemon and max it out. For example, I have 201 rare XL candies and I haven't put them into Zygarde just because of the fact that maybe one day before I actually end up getting the 296 XL candies, you know, I'm gonna get like a really, really good IV Zarude because some new Zarude research comes out. Then I might change my mind and be like, you know what, let me put these 296 rare XL candies into Zarude and max out my, you know, Hundo Zarude. Let's say I catch one of those. So again, don't commit if you don't have to yet until you're ready. So once I get 296 XLs, I'll probably put them all into Zygarde and max it out, but I'm not gonna jump the gun. Moving on though, we have raid passes. Do not delete your raid passes, save all these. And again, use them. If you need to get down on raid passes, I have 123. I must have bought some insane box here. Use the raid passes to get low on them. Same thing goes with lure modules here. Go ahead and use them if you want to get rid of them. I have a bunch of them, but again, you can go ahead and use them. And also you can even use them for evolutions. Remember, like a magnetic lure allows you to evolve, is it Magneton into Magnezone? You need to be near a magnetic lure, so go ahead and use that. Zygarde Cube and the camera do not take any space, so you can avoid those. TMs, let's talk about TMs. Now TMs, my number one rule is always keep more charge TMs than fast TMs. Pokemon have a lot more potential charge moves than fast moves, so you're gonna end up using a lot more charge than fast. In terms of the amount you wanna keep, I generally keep like 50 fast TMs, and then I'll keep like 100 charge TMs. But this is all gonna depend on how many you have and how much PvPing you do. If you're still working on building up your roster, you're gonna find yourself with a lot less TMs because you're always changing moves on different Pokemon, setting Pokemon up, building new Pokemon, etc, etc. But if you already have a bunch of Pokemon powered up, like for me for the Great League, I don't really need to use these TMs, so I can potentially hold a lot lower. But again, number one rule, keep more fast than charge, and never delete your elite fast or elite charge gems. These items are very rare, allow you to get legacy moves on certain Pokemon. I have a bunch of them here. I have like 28, but again, do not use these. If you want to learn what you should use your elite TMs on, go ahead and watch the video below. I have like a video about everything. It's kind of insane at this point. Watch that video below. It'll tell you what to use these on. And finally, that leaves us with evolutionary items to evolve Pokemon. Now, this is where you can be really, really skimpy, I think. I generally just keep 10 of each. I'll keep 50 Sinnoh Stones and 50 Unova Stones. And the Gimme Ghoul coins, I don't think take item bag space. But if you don't evolve a lot of Pokemon, or if you don't think you're end up using a King's Rock, or you don't plan on evolving, you know, a Slowpoke into a Slowking anytime soon, you can drop this number down to 5. You could even have no King's Rocks if you want. I find the one thing is generally when we do get events like Slowpoke Community Day, usually it comes along with research that gets us King's Rocks so you can evolve your Slowpokes, and you don't already need those King's Rocks in your storage. So don't be scared to delete these, go down to like 5 of each and maybe even like 20 Sinnoh Stones and Unova Stones. I will say try to keep more Sinnoh Stones and Unova Stones than all the other items, because those items, there's just so many more Pokemon you can evolve with Sinnoh Stones. But yeah, generally this is the numbers I will stick it at. And again, just use that ratio for yourself. If you only have space to keep, you know, 5 of each items and like 10 Sinnoh Stones, 10 Unova Stones, that is completely fine. I think this is one place where you can really skimp out on your storage, because the most important storage section is going to be your Pokeballs, in my opinion. Having a lot of Pokeballs means you can catch a lot of Pokemon, get a lot of XP, a lot of Stardust, all that stuff, and leads you to leveling up, getting great Pokemon, etc., etc. At the end of the day, guys, my number one rule is if you do need to clear your storage, use the items, do not delete them if you can. Things like berries are great to dump into gyms, Pokeballs to throw a Pokemon instead of just straight up deleting them. But I do understand sometimes, you know, you need a quick delete, so you can delete some of the stuff I mentioned in this video. If you enjoyed this video, watch the one below. If you have anything to add as well, add it in the comment section below, and we'll see you all in the next one. Follow for tips. Peace.